Hello there. Happy Friday. Come on in, guys. We got something special for you today. We are going to be talking with Kayla from KK Artistry. I love Kayla. Like, ever since we met, we've always vibed, and just to see her growth and everything that she's been able to do with her brand and her business, I am so in love, and I can't wait for you guys to hear from her. I'm gonna go ahead and ooh, y'all just got done lashing.
Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with you too, and I'm so excited of everything that I've seen you do since we've met.
Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. I mean, the both of us, we really just been going. Ever since we took the lash maker course, we have been going.
It is so freaking true.
Yeah. I was having troubles with my live. So, guys, please let us know if everything's good, if the audio's good. For some reason, when I go live on this phone, it like makes your side have an echo. But you sound fine to me. So, but let us know, guys.
Yeah, you sound good so far too.
Okay, cool. Woo, man, I have been running all morning. I took Bronx to daycare, then I went to Pilates, and I forgot that I had a client when I was lashing. She reached out to me and asked to get her lashes done. So it was like my booking site is not non-existent now, so I kind of made a verbal commitment. And I checked my schedule today, and I saw our live, and I was like, oh my God, I've double booked myself. But I had to just go ahead and get her in, and then I had to eat. So I'm finally now just like settling into this. So this is going to be great. How's your day going so far?
It has been good. I kind of did the same thing. Went to the gym this morning, got some work done, and just have been kind of hanging out and chilling. So it worked out to move the times too.
Nice. I'm so glad you were flexible because I really shot myself in the foot with that one. So, yeah. So today we're going to be talking about bold moves in building your business. And I'm going to go ahead and let you start. Go ahead and give the people a little rundown on you, what you're doing. Tell them about the shift and the pivot that you have made, which I'm so proud of you for doing.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll just start with a little bit of like when I started. I entered the beauty industry in 2015. I've literally been doing lashes ever since. I didn't go into aesthetic school thinking I would do lashes, but pretty much when I came out, it was just kind of becoming a thing. There was like a couple salons in my area, and I interviewed, got a job, and have been lashing for like 7 years now since then. So, I love it. I fell in love with it right away. So I'm in Vancouver, Washington. And then I also have my podcast, Educated Artistry, which was something that started about 3 years ago because I really wanted to help other beauty businesses like get more business insight on things, because I feel like there was just not enough talked about. It's getting better now. Everything was so secretive for so long that I was like, this is stupid. Like, we should all be able to support each other and help each other. And like, business is such a big part of it, right? Like, you can be really good at your craft and your technique, whether it's lashes, hair, skin, but if you don't have the business side of it, like, the percentage of failures goes up really high.
Yes.
So yeah. So that's just a little bit about me. And my recent pivot has just been kind of starting the process of transitioning out of taking lash clients and really focusing just on helping beauty business owners with the business side of things.
I love that for you. That is so awesome, Kayla. Like, what made you really just come to the realization that your time is going to be more valuable from, becoming a business coach versus being behind the lash bed?
Yeah, well, there was like two parts of it. One, it was what my lifestyle goal is, right? Like, I want to have location freedom. I want to be able to work from anywhere, really. And I can do that when I'm a business coach and have like more of a flexible schedule, not have to be like tied to the chair during certain times of the day. But the other part of it too was like, that's where my passion is. Like, when I start talking to people about business, like, it lights up my heart and I get super excited. So that they was kind of both of those things where I was like, these are perfect to merge together. And
Yeah.
yeah, find your passion. And then I think you have to figure out what you want your like long-term goal to be and be able to merge those.
Yes, I love that. Oh, hey T. Hey T, you see, I am just embarging on your space. I'm in Tiana's shop and I didn't tell her that I was here and I used her lash bed and I used her adhesive. But okay, let's really get into this live. I love that for you. I love that you actually like really took time to like understand what is going to be best for you. So let's in my house. I am in your house. I was doing some work for my laptop. I got your mask.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so for new lash artists, because I know you have a lot of digital products, you have your podcast. For new lash artists, what kind of advice do you have when it comes to them making bold moves? Like, I love when you talk about pricing too, but a lot of our audience is like brand new. They just started and, you know, they're having trouble setting boundaries, raising their prices, just moving into the expert. Because, you know, as you're learning the craft, you're still like going with the flow, you're still like learning how people respond to certain things that you say, and then there comes a switch where you're like, no, this is the time that I'm working, these are my policies, these are my boundaries, and that type of stuff. So like, what kind of advice can you give to new lash artists who are straight out of school? They don't know where to start with their prices. They don't know what strategy to take when it comes to their prices, or like how to get clients and that type of stuff.
Okay, so let me start with just some advice and then I'll go into pricing. So some advice for new lash artists. I feel like there's this stigma that when we're new, we have to like do everything, like be available to our clients 24/7. And I think people think like, oh, it's because I'm new, I have to do this. And you can set those boundaries very, very early on in your business, and you should, whether it's your policies, the hours that you're going to have available for working. And the beauty too of running your own business is if you decide that that no longer works for you, you can change it, and that's okay, right? I think we get so stuck in of like, I have to do it like this, I have to be available for my clients, I have to take everybody that, you know, once that reaches out to me, and you really don't. A lot of us, when I talk to beauty business owners, and especially when they're starting, I ask them like, what is your drive? Like, why start a business? And they want freedom, but then they end up doing the exact opposite and working crazy hours. I mean, we've seen it a lot in the industry, like in the beginning where we were, and you still see it today where people are like, oh, if you do, you know, 10 fills a day at this price, then you can make $100,000. And it's like, who wants to work for 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day doing lashes? So I think just like realizing that you can set those boundaries and those policies and those systems early on. And then if it's not working for you and you need to pivot, then you can pivot. Like, your business, your rules is what I always love to say. You don't have to do every single thing, same thing that somebody else is doing, because you're not the same person. You're not going to operate the same and have the same time or energy, you know, to give. So I think that's something really important just to always keep in mind, but especially when you're new.
Yes, because the burnout is real. Like, you may think that you can lash 10 hours a day right now, but it's certainly something that's not scalable. It's not something that you can do forever. And it just gets old very fast. And you don't want to start resenting clients and the craft and what you do. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so guilty of going through burnout multiple times throughout my career. And it can be in different ways too. It can be with clients, or can it just be like boundaries I'm lacking within myself too. And so it's just, it's really interesting too. Cause yeah, it's like you go through it and then you kind of forget, you get good again, and then you forget, and then you go through it again. You're like, why did I do this to myself again? But so we all have been there and we've all done it, but as much as you can learn faster and like not let that happen and set up systems that will prevent that. Because you know, right before everything closed down too, before COVID, I got really bad like sciatic nerve pain in my back. I was wearing a like heating pad on my back all day. I could barely sleep because it hurt so bad. It was just this shooting pain down my leg. And I was going to the chiropractor. Yeah, it was insane. I was going to the chiropractor. I could barely walk. And I was not taking care of myself. I was taking too many clients in a day. I was not stretching. I wasn't really being active, wasn't eating the best, probably was drinking too much, you know, just like all of those things that compiled into injuring myself, which thankfully, you know, that was a nice part of in the beginning, having 2 weeks off and shutting down, because I was able to actually heal. But it reminded me that I really have to be careful, because this can be something like, you know, I was 26 at the time. I'm like, I'm too young to be like hurting this much every day.
Yeah. Oh my God, Kayla, I did not know you went through that. That's crazy. Tiana actually struggles with that also, and had to go see a neurologist, a neural doctor basically. And yeah. So what advice?
It's the worst pain.
It is the worst pain. Like, looking back at your career now, what advice would you give to new lash artists coming out the gate to help prevent those things from happening, like the body just breaking down?
Well, I think definitely kind of what we touched on is, you know, setting realistic hours of what you can work, you know, like I wouldn't personally lash. I mean, like I lash now 6 hours, 3 days a week. I have breaks between every client. So after every client, I have a 15-minute block where I can get up, I can go to the bathroom, I can stretch if I need to, just get up and walk around and get your blood moving again after sitting.
Yes.
And drinking water, like having snacks. It's all these really basic things, but we tend to forget. And I always hate when I see like videos and TikToks, and I know they're usually in like all, you know, all in fun, but when it's like, oh, I'm on my 5th iced coffee of the day and nothing else, it's like, okay, I get it. Like we're caffeinated in this place, but we have to still take care of our bodies. You know, you have to eat, you have to drink water, and not stigmatize not taking breaks too, because I always heard that where it's like, I work 10 hours straight and I never take breaks. And it's like, that's not cool. I don't think it's cool, and we should be like hyping it up.
No, I totally agree. I really do agree. Okay, well, then let's get into like the pricing. Yes, it is very, very, very toxic, T. Like, seriously. Totally. And when I think about it, I'm like, I always ask myself, like, man, how long do you really have as a lash artist? Like, realistically, like, even if you were to do everything correctly, you know, lash 4 hours or 6 hours a day, 4 days a week, it is just so hard on your body. I still don't think that it's something that people can do for 20 years, like hairstylists.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know.
There's been no proof, you know, who's been lashing for 20 years? Where's she at?
I know we need to get some polls going on, because I would love to ask questions if somebody's lashed for 20 years, or like even like 15 is such a long time too. So
exactly. Well, let's get into pricing, because I'm curious to know, and we can kind of talk about your product that you have. You can let everybody know the product that you have, and but so let's get into the pricing. Like, what strategy do you recommend for new lash artists who are just struggling with where to start with their prices, how to increase their prices, and how to price themselves?
Yes, and don't let me forget, because I did end up making a discount code for people watching this live for 48 hours. So don't let me forget to drop it. Well, I'll drop it at the end, so they have to watch the whole thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and we can pin it in the comments or something too afterwards. But okay, so with pricing, I believe in charging hourly, and I did this because I actually took, and a lot of you guys watching probably know Trina from Maven Artistry. She's amazing. And I took her class in like 2018, and she had brought up like a charging hourly type of menu setup. And it just got me thinking, I was like, what are my hourly rates even at? Like, I never thought about it because I just charged kind of what everybody was charging in my area. It seemed all right. So I'll drop an example of what my prices were at that time, just for like a classic fill and a volume fill and my full sets. So for example, both of my volume and classic full sets, my volume full set was $300. I was booking out 3 hours. So if we do easy math, that's $100 an hour, right? And my classic was $200 for 2 hours, also $100 an hour. So I was like, cool, making $100 an hour on my full sets. That's awesome. And then for my classic fills, I was charging $75 for 1 hour. So I already was making $25 an hour less just by doing a fill instead of a full set. But then I did my volume fill where I was charging $95 and I was booking out an hour and a half, and that came to like $63 and some change. So, and volume fills were like my main service. Like that's what I was doing majority of the time, but it was the service that was actually making me the least amount of money for my time. It was making me $63 an hour where I was making 75 to 100 on my other services. And I was like, this is crazy, because volume especially takes more education, more product, more time, more skill, right? So why is it my least service? So that's when I kind of started like developing the formula and stuff on like, how do you find what your hourly rate should be and know what to charge? Because a lot of people too may be watching this and be like, $63 an hour is great, but you have a lot of overhead that comes out of things. Like you don't get to take home that $63 an hour, which people, it's just always funny.
If you really narrowed it down, it's like $20 an hour.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have taxes, you have your overhead, you have supplies, you have like just so many things. So, really what I always tell artists, if you're new and you have not started and you don't have pricing yet, you need to take all of your business expenses that you're going to have each month. And you also need to take all your personal expenses too, because we need to make sure we're making enough to pay ourselves, right? Like that's the goal. We should be taking home a paycheck. So I always say to start out with figuring out what those expenses are for yourself per month, business and personal. And then you need to find out how many hours you have available for sale. So how many hours are you actually going to be working on clients? And that's going to help you find what your hourly rate should be. And this would be your minimum hourly rate. So this would be like, if I were booked out all of my hours for sale and I needed to make this much money a month, I have to minimally charge at least this, which it's a good place to start. So that way, you know, you're not charging under, or if you do discounts or anything, you make sure you're not charging under that hourly rate. I would say if you are currently a lash artist or anything like that, then the best place to start is to actually just start breaking down what your current services are. So kind of like how I was doing with mine, take your service price and divide that by the time you allot for your service. And that's going to give you what your hourly rate is, and just start seeing where your rates are falling right now, and then see what is making you the most, what isn't, and what's your best selling service. And is that one like making you the most amount of money, or is it like me where it was making me the least amount of money?
Wow.
Yeah, hope that makes sense. I know I said a bunch of numbers.
No, that is so helpful. And wow, I cannot believe that you caught the volume like being less. I just had a volume fill client. I thought she was coming to get a new set, but she actually showed up with lashes. And yeah, I charged her $150. And she actually tipped me $50, and she'll be back in 2 weeks for a full set. And the full set is gonna be $400.
Yeah.
So when I think about it, it's gonna take me, with the removal and the full set, it could take me 4 hours to do that. And she's gonna pay me about $400, which is $100 an hour. And so I do think for the work that once you get to that professional level, I think it is $100 an hour. Like it's $100 an hour for classic, $100 an hour. If you want to make yourself, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, if you want to make yourself feel a little bit better, like maybe instead of 60 minutes, it's 70 minutes. You know, because you got to lay them down and that type of stuff, and it's $100. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too that I always say, like, I have now my fills are just this, they're all the same. I don't have classic hybrid volume. It's a full set and a fill. Like I'm more about like customizing the look that you want, because I can pretty much do a, you know,
do
for a
whatever.
fill and do whatever, right? And some people like you've had clients where people think that classic lashes should be cheaper, where I'm like, classic lashes can be just as hard as volume lashes. Like, and especially now that we have pre-mades out too, like pre-made volume fans. And somebody who has a really thick lash line and needs classics, that could still take you 2 hours to fill her because she has so many lashes. Yeah. So it's like, why are we charging less for this service? It should be based on your time. And so that's where it's like that way too, when you're making money and you're able to like project your sales for the year or the week or the month or whatever it is, you already know like what your potential is to bring in. Yes, tips can be something. I never calculate tips in. That's just always a bonus, right? Because we never want to like assume that our client's going to tip, even though it's great when they do.
Right.
But we never want to like rely on that income. And so that way you're making a consistent amount of money for your time, whereas if like where my prices were before, dang, I should have just been doing full sets the whole time and made the $100 an hour and never done a fill, because I would have made so much more money.
So the hour fill is $100. What is the 90-minute fill? $150.
150. Yeah. So you would just take like, once you figure out what your hourly rate, because it's so different. And that's where like when I came up with my powerhouse pricing masterclass, it's so different for everybody on where some people have different overheads. Some people work from home, or so they don't have like the expense of a lease. You know, some people, it just, everything's so different. The cost of living is lower, stuff like that. So I always say, once you figure out what your hourly rate is, you would take that rate times by the amount of time that you're booking out for that service, and that would be your service price. So yeah, if you're doing $100 an hour.
So if my minimum is $50, you're saying times 50 by 60 minutes?
Yeah, or an hour. No, an hour.
So if my minimum hourly rate is $50, then I would time that by 60.
No, you would just times that by 1, because if it's $50 an hour and you're booking out 1 hour, then it's $50. If your minimum hourly rate is $50 and you're booking out 4 hours for a service, then your service price would be $200.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh yeah, I had it backwards. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. Some people do by minute. I just felt like the math was way easier to do it by hour. So then if you were like we did the example, if you were charging $50 an hour and your service was an hour and a half long, then it would be $75 for that service.
Right. Okay. No, that is way simple. That's way simpler. Okay,
it's really simple math. I feel like
that.
People get super overwhelmed with numbers, and I did too. Like, I was not a good student in class. Like, I am not good at math, but I was like, how can we make this super simple? And it is. It comes down to your personal, your business expenses, your hours for sale, and then how much, where you want to price your hourly rate at, and then times that by the time you're allotting for your services. So that way, no matter what, like when you work 8 hours, you're making $800 if you're at $100 an hour every day, no matter what service you're doing. So you're having that really consistent income.
I think that is what's most important, is making sure that on the days you have fills and full sets, because it's taking the same amount of time to make the same amount of money. I think that if you take away anything from this live, take away that. If there are days that you are taking more fills, or if there's a day that you have all full sets and the amount of money that you make is way different from those days, but it's the same amount of time that you spent in both days, something is wrong. You're probably losing money somewhere. Wow, I love that. That is a gem for real. So tell us about your price master. What is it called?
So it's called Powerhouse Pricing Masterclass.
Okay, tell us about it. It's 100% online. How much is it?
Yeah. So it's 100% online. It's held in a private Facebook group. So both of the videos have been recorded, and people would we have like a question thread. So if there's questions that are asked, or you can ask questions even if you join later. And then there's a workbook included as well that really breaks down, I think it's like a 7-page workbook where it's going to break down like where your numbers are currently, your business and personal expenses, your minimum hourly rates, your hours available for sale. And then I also go into communicating price raises with clients, because that's a big thing that a lot of people are terrified of, and like simplifying your service menu too, because like kind of how we just talked, like I have a full set and a fill, and you'll see people that have like a full set, a 1-week fill, a 2-week fill, a 3-week fill, a 4-week fill, and then a volume 1-week fill, 2-week, 3, you know, like it's so complicated. So I talk a lot about simplifying things and making it really easy to understand. But yeah, we go with communicating price changes, and then we go into like some abundance mindset talk too, because a lot of people believe like nobody will pay my prices. I can't charge that because nobody else charges that. I can't set my menu up that way because nobody else does, you know? So we go into some mindset talk about that. And I like myth bust a lot of stuff that I hear the excuses of. So we go through like some myth busting too. So it's all there in the private Facebook group. It's $222 for the one-time purchase. And then I added a 20% off discount code for this live for 48 hours. Yeah.
Because you know we're going to save this live and we're going to post it. Okay, so
Perfect.
What's the discount code?
So it is DFW48, because we'll have the code going for 48 hours.
Okay.
And that will actually work on any of my master classes. So I also have another one that's about building my 3-step system of building a clientele that's down bad for you. So that'll work on that one too, if that's something that people are interested in.
So discount code 20% off DFW48. All caps.
Yes.
Okay,
All
I'm
caps.
gonna post it and I'm gonna pin it. Thank you so much, Kayla. That is awesome.
Of course.
Can I tell people on our story about that too after our live? Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll expire on the 23rd at 2 p.m. because I did like the 48 hours. So anybody watching it from then on, then you can do it. And it's only going to work on the one-time purchase. So if you decide to do it one of the payment plans, it won't work on that, just the one-time purchase, just so people know.
Yeah, gotcha. That's so awesome. Well, what else is going on in your world? What are you doing the rest of the year? Are you going to any conferences? I definitely... We just did a podcast interview. We did. Maybe next year. Maybe we should do another podcast interview. But what's going on?
It's been busy. You know, like the holiday season is always a little crazy, like especially when you're in the service industry. So I got all my clients booked out for the rest of the year. Just did a price increase of my prices, which was great. And I will say, for people like, do a price increase like October, November. It's always a good time because everybody wants to keep their lashes on. They don't want to look for somebody else. They have all these things coming up, like, you know, and then it's just great. Yes. They're booking out their appointments. Like, it's the perfect time to do it. So I
always hear and see people say, I'm going to raise my prices the first of the year. And I'm like, well, why would you
It's the worst time.
Why would you do that? That is so stupid. Don't do that. Why don't you raise your prices right before the holiday season? That is the best time to maximize. You're so right. Yeah. What I feel like, can you give the people some indicators on like when it is a good time in your business to raise your price?
Absolutely. So number one, if you feel like you're working too many hours, is a big one. If you're constantly either coming in for clients outside of your like regular business hours, or you have a wait list of people like piling up, it's time to raise your prices, because what that tells me is that you're in a higher demand than what you can supply. So therefore we need to up your prices so that way you can, and it's okay, because even if you lose a couple clients, you're either going to be making the same or more than what you were making and be working less, or you'll be making more, and any of the clients that you lose, you'll be able to supplement them with the new clients that have been on your wait list too. So I think that's the biggest thing, is if you're getting to the point where you're consistently booked out, you have people contacting you, you have a wait list of, weeks, or you put closed books in your bio, don't do that because that just tells people like, I don't want anybody. Like, why not? Like, if you have somebody that's going to come and pay you more, like, why wouldn't you take them? I feel like it's just like an indicator to, like, I don't know. I always say never to like put closed books. It's different if you're transitioning, because for me right now, I'm not taking any new clients because I'm transitioning out of doing lashes.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense for me to take new clients anymore. So I don't. But if you're like working and you still want to take new clients and you're going to be doing lashes for a couple years, don't ever put books closed on in your bio or anything like that.
Or maybe
if
you're going on maternity leave.
Yes.
That would be a good time to put closed books.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree. What is your view on like hiring other people to maximize, because you got so many people wanting to get services with you, but you may not have the time. And then you think that hiring somebody else to work with you, like, what is your whole process? This is our last question. We can get off the line. But like, when it comes to acquiring more help to kind of stay with the demand?
Yeah, well, I think you can obviously do two things. If you have the space, you could bring in somebody to lease for you from your area, which I have one girl in that leases full time, but she's her own business. She's her own thing. Like, we get along great, but she does her own thing. But then it's nice because I can like give her clients and stuff too. And there's that. She pays me a rent. It's great. Easy peasy. I think like if people want to go the W-2 route to like get people in, I think you just have to really be aware that it's going to take a lot of time to train somebody to like get to your level. And if you're doing that plus you're taking full-time clients, like it's going to be really challenging. So yeah, I don't know. I just think if you're going to do a W-2 employee, and I almost did, I was like about to start putting out a job posting and stuff, but I was just like, at the end of the day, I was like, I don't want to like train somebody and deal with clients being upset or dealing with that kind of stuff. It just like wasn't something that I wanted to do. I know there's a lot of people that love like doing the management side of things and everything like that. So I think just like really know that you're ready for that and understand like what the taxes and the workman's comp and the PTO and everything like that you're going to have to put into an employee. So
yeah. Okay, so what do you think is like if somebody was going to go work as a W-2 employee, I know it's based off of expenses and that type of stuff, but like, or what were you thinking about an hourly rate? I'm just curious to know, like, what do you think like a good starting hourly rate is for somebody that is going to work at like Amazing Lash? Well, maybe not them. Like, I just want like a realistic hourly rate. If you were going to hire an employee, I just want to know.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because when I first was working with a business coach on hiring an employee, I was going to do commission. But then I had actually listened to a lot of like the Lashpreneurs podcast, and I did a podcast episode with her about actually paying people hourly instead. And I'm like, that makes so much more sense from the employer standpoint of things. I don't remember the exact, like, and I was going to have bonus opportunities, but I was going to start around like $18 to $20 an hour.
Okay.
And then with like the pricing, it just would depend too on if they were new or they were experienced and like all of that stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. So I just
starting there.
Yeah. Because I mean, realistically, if they're more experienced, yeah, that's about right. Entry level, like $18, $19. If they're experienced, maybe like 24, 25, 26, depending on how. And then I think like having tiers, like if you sell like this much retail, if your clients, like maybe if it's like based off of the client retention, like if they're able to keep their clients, like every 6 months we look at the client retention, and if you keep 80% of your clients happy, we give you another incentive and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm in that part of the business because I'm looking to like, with the school, I really want to, my next part, now that the school's up and running, we kind of have found our footing, I really am looking to partner with other salons so that we can close the gap on the job placement. Because I do feel like, selling the students on, you can work for yourself, you can work from home, like, it's getting kind of old and tired. I really want to be able to say, like, okay, once you can get your license, here's a list of affiliated salons we work with that are willing to hire you once you get your license, you know, and just setting that expectation, because I feel like not everybody can work for themselves. It's really hard.
Well, and that's the thing too. Not everybody wants to work for themselves, but I feel like we're forced into it because there's really not very many other options, right? Like around here in Vancouver, there's a lot of people that do commission, but they're doing it in a weird way where they're like a 1099 independent contractor and they're paying them commission, but these girls still have to get all their licenses. They're still have to treat themselves as a business,
W2,
but
bro.
They're not a W-2. They're like a 1099, which technically with 1099s, you have to be doing a different service in order to be classified as a 1099. So 1099 would be like if you hire a painter to come to your salon and you're having them they're painting the salon for you. That's like a 1099 contract where so a lot of these girls they had the option of leasing or being 1099 and getting commission. A lot of these girls were brand new, so they chose 1099 because they felt like, oh, well, at least I don't have this overhead. They'll just take a little bit out of what I make. And when I was running with them the numbers, I was like, you're paying like 3 times what you would be paying this business in rent, and you have no perks of an employee like that would have with like PTO, workman's comp, bonuses, anything like that. So there's just like, I feel like a lot of salons work that way because they don't want to deal with the tax side of things and having to claim people on their taxes. But I do think there's a big gap, and I hope that is something that changes, where it's like you can get people into more like really good W-2 positions to where, yeah, they're making good money and they have a lot of support, because I just feel like there's not very many places like that.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow, that's so true. I can't believe they're doing that. I don't think that's legal, but
it's not. It's definitely not
that's
legal.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's the thing too, is it's like I've like worked with so many girls too where they're like, oh, I just want to bring on a commission artist, and I'm like, okay, like, do you know what that entails? Because if you're not like what is the word? You're not like classifying them the right way, then you can have the responsibility of paying all those back taxes. If you're treating them as an employee, a W-2 employee, but you're classifying them as a 1099, like, you can be in a world of hurt with taxes. And that's not fun. Nobody wants that. So
No,
I think just like figure it out and do it the right way.
Yes, exactly. Wow. Thank you so much for your time. This was awesome. I really hope you guys got value from Miss Kayla. She's definitely going to be back. We have to do this again. But, oh, yeah, I wanted to know, are you going to any Lash conferences and that type of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go to the Lash conference in Pasadena in like 2 weeks or something like that. So if anybody watching is there, feel free to come say hi. That's like the only Lash conference I think I have coming up. I've got like a nice 2-week trip to Hawaii, January 1st to the 12th. So I'll be like, I'm like getting ready for vacation mode. I'm so excited. It's the first time I've taken like a 2-week vacation in years. Like, so that's kind of what I have for the rest of the year going on.
That is so awesome. And then are you doing IBS next summer?
Probably. Are you going to go?
Yeah. I do want to go.
Good.
I do want to go.
That's how we met in 2018.
I know. I want to just
or was
show
that weekend?
I want to just show my face. You know, it's so hard. Like with the Lash conferences, I kind of get upset or kind of down because I don't get invited. We don't get invited to a lot. I mean, they invited us to LashCon, but they wanted me to be a speaker, but they weren't trying to pay me for like my time. So I said no. But when it comes to IBS, just because there's so many other different type of professionals there and it's such a big show and it's in Vegas, I do want to go, and it's around our birthdays and stuff. But when it comes to specific Lash conferences, like they just had the Lash Bash in San Antonio. I didn't even know about it. They didn't invite us, like nothing.
Oh.
I just feel like people in the Lash industry, I mean, that's a whole nother topic. I can come on the podcast and just talk shit about them. Because I just like they really got us messed up. Like I feel like a lot of people don't get paid for going to conferences and their involvement and that type of stuff. It's all based off of like clout and the gangs, like everybody's all clicked up and that type of stuff. But when you look at hairstylists and barbers, they be getting checks to be on stage, to do demonstrations and to talk to people and to do a song and dance and all that. I mean, paying for my hotel and flight is cool, but honestly, I can do that for myself and get points, and it's not that big of a deal, you know? So I'm just waiting for the lash industry to start taking it more serious and being like, okay, I'm going to pay you for your time, which is probably like my time right now with being a school owner. To bag me for as a speaker is probably like $250 an hour. Let's be honest. Like, I gotta stop. I gotta leave what I'm doing. The school makes me good money. Like, having my face, I can sell anything. First of all, let's just talk about that. Like, my face, I can literally sell anything. Anything that I'm tied to in marketing is going to sell, and I know that value that I bring. So I'm just ranting.
No, you're good. We'll definitely have to do a podcast episode on that, because that is something that I've been really thinking about. And I've actually like had a couple stories and posts up where I'm just like, I don't know, because it's such a touchy subject, but it's also the same too, I feel like, with like people who ask you to do like commission type deals with brands and stuff. And like, I see all these girls like making these like beautiful reels and tagging these brands, and I'm like, that's valuable content for those brands. Like, you should be getting paid for like the work you're putting in to make that content, because it's giving them sales, right? So because there's so many hair companies, and that was the thing, just going through TikTok, I see so many hair companies that are sponsoring these artists for talking about the product that they're using, even if they're just sitting here saying, hey, this is what I use every day, this is how I use it, this is why I love it, because that type of content is so freaking valuable to those brands, because they it's like the UGC content, where it's like the user generated content, and that's so valuable to the brands, because the person who's talking to you, like how you just said, like, you can sell anything because you've built that audience that they trust you so much that they trust you more than they trust the brand, and that is value right there. So we'll definitely have to do an episode on that, because I feel like we could go on.
Well, me actually have me and Tiana on. We're gonna just, honestly, me and Tiana, we're gonna go on a whole podcast tour where we just talk shit about how people are not getting paid by doing these conferences. We already took headshots for it. So
yeah, no, I love it. I think it's something that needs to be talked about, and it's something that I've really been like just stirring about lately too, because I'm just like, I don't know. So we'll definitely have to do that. To come, and you have 2 episodes on my podcast, so if anybody hasn't listened, then go check them out. I don't know the exact numbers, but you'll see there was one from a couple months ago, and then we had one from like 2 years ago when you first were about to open the school. So it's cool to see the transition. So if anybody is watching this, go check those out. Educated Artistry Podcast too.
Yes, y'all. Her podcast is amazing. Just search it on your podcast app on your phone.
Yes.
Or you Google it and it'll pop right up, guys. So thank you so much for your time, Kayla. Again, you guys, she's giving you guys 20% off on her Powerhouse pricing.
Yes.
Is that what it's, okay, Powerhouse pricing. Yeah. Is it an ebook or it is a mentorship?
It's within a Facebook group. So there's videos that you'll watch. There's a workbook. I did it live, but it was recorded. So the recordings are there for you to go back and watch.
Awesome. So you guys check that out. And you guys are going to be seeing more from her. We are going to be doing more lives. And we'll also be listing her in our brand and resource guide for all of our current alumni students. You guys will be able to get access to all of her products. Just get right from our alumni classroom over to her website and stuff. And you can always book a mentorship call. They can book a mentorship call with you too. You taking mentorship calls?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I do like coaching packages now. So it's more like a 4 or 6 week commitment. But yeah, definitely there too if you need any help. Like business, you need like a business coach to help guide you through your process of whatever that you're wanting to do with your business.
I love that. That's so awesome. I love to see everything that Kayla, you deserve it. Have an amazing time at LashCon, and please be safe in Hawaii. I can't wait to see it.
I will.
It. And love you here, girl. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
No problem. Bye.